This is Darker Days Radio doing a small little interview at UK Games Expo. This is one of your regular hosts, Chris, and I am joined by Dave Brookshaw, legend of Mage the Awakening and of other interesting things to do with Chronicles of Darkness, where you've dipped your toes in and tied together the fun metaphysics.
Hello from sunny Birmingham.
Yes,
and
sunny. It is actually sunny, I imagine, out there.
And this very noisy gaming hall.
Yeah.
I'm one game off Monopoly. For the Chronicles of Darkness, I am the joint lead in the number of games that I've written for.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. People... I've normally only got one credit on some of those game lines, but I only lack Hunter the Vigil.
Hunter the Vigil, yeah. Okay.
And that's it. But other than that, you can find me everywhere.
So, let's see. I still need to actually read Mage the Awakening 2nd Edition, but that's because I want to give it a decent review.
Yes.
I think we've done other reviews. It's been busy in World of Darkness Berlin, and everything I've been told, I had good things about Chronicles of Darkness. And actually, the fun thing was, about Mage the Awakening, was presenting our mashup of Mage the Awakening with Mage the Ascension. People liked those ideas in there. So, it'll be good to know what things we can possibly expect from Mage and Deviant in future.
Yeah.
Which can also, again, people could possibly borrow for their whatever game they want to run. So, I don't know, what do you want to talk about? We're kind of just chilling out in the press room
we
here.
Are. It's just...
we can sit down like the plebs.
We just come into the same games convention and decided to hang out for a bit. So, we did write the... Mage has a translation guide.
Yes, we did look at that a lot.
But it's for the last two editions of both Awakening and Ascension. So it's for Awakening First Ed and Ascension Revised. Yeah, Ascension Revised.
Yeah, it would be.
I did run it. I ran Mage the Ascension quite a lot. It was quite a long time ago now, though. So I think I don't have the detailed mechanical knowledge of Mage the Ascension that I used to have.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
And in the translation guide, I really relied on my co-author Malcolm Shepherd,
who
and co-developer, who is such an old hand at both games.
Yes.
Because he started writing for then White Wolf in Mage the Ascension, and then he helped design Mage the Awakening.
Yeah.
And in fact, Chronicles of Darkness First Edition, the World of Darkness core book. He and he's still working on Mage the Awakening. We've still got unpublished work, and even though he's now got a day job at Green Ronin.
Yeah, what's he working on there now? Is it
a couple of games? I don't know if it's been announced which games he's in charge of. But he's like a developer without portfolio. They bring him in to develop individual segments and things. But he will still be writing for Awakening.
Good. Okay. Cool.
On the side. The Mage translation guide, we really relied on him, and I don't know that Satyr Braccato knows anything about Awakening, and I don't think I know enough about the modern incarnation of Ascension to really do that sort of translation guide again.
I don't know if is Mage 20 a huge departure from Revised?
I understand there's cool things going on with like the foci and the paradigm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's another entire conversation. So with Mage 2nd Edition, Awakening 2nd Edition out, what sort of fun things are we expecting? Because I think like Requiem 2nd Edition, certain books don't quite need to be redone again, because like the Covenant books, they are, let's be honest, the Covenant books are very dry kind of in some parts, because they're very good textbooks. So they don't need to be done again. So again, I don't imagine the order books for Mage Awakening need to be rewritten per se, because there's great setting material in there. It's more, I could imagine something like Secrets of the Covenant. Is that sort of an idea you're going for?
So the reason that only Requiem has clan book type books, those sort of like heavy artifact books, which look like in character works, is because Requiem sells enough copies of books to justify an art budget, and
that's nice to know.
So,
nice to know it sells enough for an art budget like that.
Yeah. So, we don't really have much interest in redoing 6 order books.
For
Mage.
Yeah.
Especially as for 2nd edition, we'd have to make it 7 because of the Tremere as well. So, we don't really want to do those again. Besides which, the social structures and the setups of the orders in 2nd edition are pretty much exactly the same as they were in their books.
Yeah.
Not as they were in Awakening's 1st edition core book, but as they were then in their books.
Yes.
So the Mysteriums right up in the new core book, it talks about things that were introduced for the Mysterium hardback. Yeah?
And that's I think that's good because it's quite clear that both with like with Requiem, I guess the same thing can be said. Like I said, I still need to read to review it for the podcast. But the nice thing about the 2nd edition books is they're a distillation of all the ideas over the 10 years that made because it had room to develop.
And it very much so. And Mage, by the end of its 1st edition, it had a bit of its concepts had evolved on from its original core book, and consolidating the 1st edition run. Yeah. Some 1st edition books are some of the things that we did to Mage's metaphysics and the way that the casting, but the order books certainly the 6 order books they're fine, and so Secrets of the Covenant came out for Vampire, and we do have not the next book to be released for Awakening, but the book after that is going to be called Tome of the Pentacle.
Okay.
And I think people were expecting it to be like Secrets of the Covenant, where it's got 1 chapter per order. Secrets of the Covenant has like 1 chapter per covenant, and it has a in-character section and then an out-of-character section, mechanical section for each one. Tome of the Pentacle is about the Pentacle, not about the individual orders. So it's about how mages do international travel and like interconcilium.
Oh, okay, right.
Interconcilium politics and
Yeah.
convocations and things, and it has a big history chapter in it. The closest book that White Wolf or Onyx Path or New White Wolf have done to it is the Old Guide to the Traditions.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's like that rather than being like Secrets of the Covenant.
That sounds good.
Yeah, and then we have another approved but unannounced book for Awakening, and then we've got a bunch of ideas.
Okay.
So,
and then...
and I don't know what's going to be announced at Gen Con this year.
Yeah.
It's always in previous years I've found out when I go to Gen Con what's been announced. And,
yes.
Like one of the first things I do upon turning up at Gen Con is to ask Rose what we're announcing, so I know what we can talk about. But yeah. So yeah, over the course of this, if you ask me anything, that there may be a pause as I try to think about whether or not anyone's said anything about that out in the open.
Obviously, with Deviant, is that's still we'll know when it happens.
Deviant is very, very nearly to send to White Wolf, to New White Wolf in Sweden, to have the outline approved for it, and then we'll hire writers.
Cool. Okay.
So I had an outline which went off to Onyx Path's permanent employees, like Rich Thomas and Rose Bailey, and a couple of other interested parties, like some of my fellow developers. I think Eddie Webb saw it, because Eddie Webb's design ideas are always good. And I got notes back from that, and now I'm doing that, and I'm changing that outline to reflect those, send it back off to them again. If they like it, they'll send it to White Wolf. If White Wolf like it, then we'll actually hire people and start talking about it.
Yeah, because this is the idea of people that have, from what I know, from what I've read, is people having been taken and somehow changed by experiment, but it's not it. So in that respect, it has that kind of similar to kind of like Changing the Lost, where you're stolen. But it's more the people doing it are like scientists. I get the feeling it's more that Cronenberg kind of body horror and X-Files-y kind of conspiracies, making alien hybrids or whatever.
So Deviant is about the Cronenbergian metaphor of isolation, of mutation as a metaphor for isolation. It's about people who have slipped, that they have stumbled slightly and slipped off being human, and how that causes them to both degenerate and to define themselves spiritually and mentally by their relationships to other people. So deviants, so the remade, which is what deviants are, they can't they can't go hide out in the woods by themselves and not talk to anybody, because if they do, they'll mutate further. Until they eventually die. They have to define themselves by a relationship by relationships to other people. So in game mechanic terms, it's like the anchors that you get for humanity in Requiem Second Edition.
I get it. Yeah,
it's just those anchors heal your further mutating. So
it's almost, in some respects, then also it has some parallels with the ideas that are in like Promethean kind of like, because you want to some of the milestones of Promethean you're going to obviously only achieve if you interact with humans, but at the same time you've got your disquiet, which is going to cause issues.
So Deviant has the sort of body horror pseudoscience leanings that Promethean does, but the characters did start off as human and then lost it, rather than the other way around. It's sort of like Changeling, only it's not an abuse metaphor.
Yeah.
You don't, and I will say this about it. Because a lot of people compared it to Changeling, concept-wise. So all changelings were kidnapped by the gentry, taken to Arcadia, and then they changed and have fought their way back through the hedge. Deviants are people who have been nudged, people who have who are no longer entirely human because of the action of because of the actions of humans, sometimes themselves, sometimes other people. And they don't have another big thing behind it, so they don't have they don't have the beast that vampires do, and they don't awaken to a watchtower like mages do. So it's like they've stopped being normal, and then they don't have anything to stabilise.
Okay, that makes sense.
Their changes. So a deviant is everybody from a archaeologist who dug up the wrong tomb and now has some kind of ancient stone totem embedded in their chest.
Oh, cool. Okay.
To someone that just happened to be standing in the wrong place, to children born with the Innsmouth look.
Right. Oh well, I could clearly see a really good source of inspiration for Deviant could be watch every episode of I think seasons 1 to 4 of Smallville and find how many times does kryptonite screw with someone's biology.
So one of the things that one of the massive list of inspirational media, one of the ones that made Rose Bailey go, oh yeah, I remember that show. I totally forgot. Was Roswell.
Yes. Well, it was around the same time period. Yeah.
So
shit.
So Deviant does all that kind of pretty much every David Cronenberg movie. So it takes in things like the Greek poet Ovid, so like the Metamorphosis. Pretty much every David Cronenberg movie, an awful lot of Japanese horror.
Yeah. Tetsuro Body Hammer kind of stuff. Yeah.
Pretty much every single low-powered supernatural being versus the conspiracy TV show, of which there are legion.
Oh, yeah, there's a few. There was one that was called, was it like Prey or something, where it was to do with some guy that was evolving in some weird way?
Yeah.
Obviously, I guess a lot of Fringe.
Fringe, very definitely Fringe, like to the point that you can see where characters are in Deviant splats.
Yeah.
And Fringe has the sort of the... I think I used the word gooey for it. Fringe has the sort of like gooey bio-horror.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Like the people in Fringe that have their skin turned transparent.
Yeah.
Things. But also everything like Orphan Black.
Yeah.
And Sense8, which I found out was cancelled yesterday, and I'm currently about it. Orphan Black, Sense8, the 90s things like Roswell and Beauty, the Ron Perlman, Beauty
Millennium
and the Beast.
and so forth.
Yeah, all that kind of thing.
It's quite interesting going for this because I think
you have seen a Deviant story.
I think the exciting thing about Deviant is, and I was always wondering, like, I think it was always a question: how could you get that more sci-fi element into World of Darkness? And I think World of Darkness, where it went to with things, it could seem hokey, but I think we've had in more recent years such like media and ideas that, and also I think the way that Chronicles of Darkness is set up is it's less kind of gonzo insane in some ways.
Yeah.
The dark reflection of the world isn't really, really, really dark. It's still... So I think that kind of science got a little off-kilter is fun. For me, speaking as an actual working scientist, is really fun. And I think it also fits in quite well with where I feel like the God Machine comes in with things, because that's, again, like, you crack the atom or you do some ridiculous experiment and you are past that point where you're not too sure, is this still science?
So Deviant, the last big like inspirational media tranche of Deviant is that Deviant covers the remaining Gothic horror things. So the Invisible Man, Hyde and Jekyll, and Dr. Moreau, and things. So the game is agnostic on what caused. What exactly caused a Deviant to change. It's more interested in... the game Splat, and I must preface that this has not been approved by White Wolf yet, but the game's Splats are the character's origin, which is how they came to be changed.
Yeah, sure.
And then their clade, which is what sort of thing, the broad sort of thing they are. So a clade is like a psychic, or a cyborg thing, like part machine.
Yeah, or a body shifter like Tombs or something like that.
But the origins are things like
the tablet.
The origins are things like born, accidental.
Okay. So in that way, it's a bit like Geist and in what way you died. Okay.
Yeah.
That's nice.
But what actually happened to you? The game is leaving freeform.
Oh wow! Cool. Okay.
And it doesn't pin down onto a splat. because there's simply too much variety in the stories.
Yeah.
So it's like a born deviant could be the result of a mad science cloning experiment, a la Orphan Black, or they could be like the Innsmouth children.
Yeah, yeah.
Or something like the characters from Dark Angel.
Yes, yeah.
Or even some of the characters in Akira.
Yeah.
Would be bought. So, yeah, we're really trying to take rather than pin it down into 5 different types, we're really trying to go for the wide variety of different transformations that you can have.
I think because it doesn't have really an equivalent in One World of Darkness. I mean, the nearest thing you can get to is whenever
Freak
the
Legion.
Well, Freak Legion, yeah, or whenever the technocracy screwed with people in some way.
And in Deviant, the person who is responsible for your change, who is normally one of your, if that's one of your touchstones that you define yourself by, there's a merit for it because it's more powerful.
Oh, okay.
They're called your progenitor.
Oh, nice.
Where,
Okay.
So, yeah, in One World of Darkness, I'd say it's like a cross between certain technocracy games. Certainly, I was running Chronicles that I would run with Deviant now, using Mage, playing Technocrats.
Yeah.
Like playing people who were cloning experiments.
But it kind of strips out it's all actually just a form of magic. It actually makes it far more weird.
And Freak Legion.
Yes. I've played Freak Legion for a one-shot. It was quite ridiculous and funny, but
although
gross.
savage genitalia.
Yes, I will.
will.
I freely admit I may have built a character to use that. That was ridiculous, but that was just a very one-shot drunk night. Just like, we're never going to play it normally. Like, who's going to play this seriously?
But only to the extent as like Beast the Primordial is like the bygone bestiary.
Yes.
Which was an old One
Yeah.
World of Darkness game about playing like dragons and bastards.
So, actually, that means also Deviant, in some respects, helps support certain cryptid types, maybe.
Yeah, certain cryptid types. One of the things that, so I wanted to have, because Mage covers cryptids that look like cryptids.
Yeah.
So Mage covers things like Sasquatches and Rummerholes and UFOs and that kind of thing. Mage the Awakening.
Yeah.
Demon the Descent covers cryptids that don't look like biological things but are more urban legendy. So Demon has things like you can see Mothman fitting into Demon, and like I think Demon has reptoids in it, doesn't it? It does.
Yeah,
it does.
So.
People who are secretly reptilian monsters under their human skins and things.
Yeah.
Deviant will cover animal deviants, but it's not like a chupac. I can never pronounce a goat such as
Chupacabra.
Yeah. It's more like the animals in We 3.
Okay. Not heard of that.
We 3 is a comic book about 3. It's basically the legendary, the amazing journey, like a cat, a dog, and a rabbit.
Okay.
That have escaped from a lab and are going on a journey. Only they've got cybernetic weapons built into them.
Right.
So, to take an example of a very, very bad movie, a really bad movie, Deviant will have things for the Gamma dogs from the Eric Bana Hulk movie.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. No, I think it's exciting because, like I said, like we did the panel of how you can re-inject some horror, mystery and weirdness into World of Darkness using Chronicles of Darkness. Like, people surprised when we go, oh, let's play Werewolf the Apocalypse, but let's turn the Weaver into the God Machine, and now you've got Machine Angels, and the look on people's faces like, what? We've never even heard of this game. It's like, yeah, I know, and I can see the same thing being done with Deviant. It's like, oh, it's a clone. It's clearly the technocracy. It's like, this is something weirder than that.
It's really done. It's some mad biologist.
And may not even conform to awakened magic or the spheres, and is actually something weirder still. So
much weirder.
I think that's quite exciting in the same way. Again, like Promethean is a very Chronicles of Darkness thing that doesn't have an equivalent as such. So there's definitely some fun to be there. I think personally, it sounds like the type of thing that I'm quite excited to see. I think it also itches the scratch where people go, oh, let's play X-Men type things in World of Darkness.
Yeah, you could do that, Negan. So, one of the main things about Deviant for me is that is the other side of it. It's not just playing the weird one-off supernaturals. It's playing the weird one-off supernaturals against the conspiracy.
Yeah.
The remade are so werewolves explode with anger and kill everything around them. Vampires pretend to be human until they lose it, until they freak out and lose it temporarily. Deviants are just pissed off constantly. Deviants don't have like a rage mechanic like werewolf or vampire. They're just always angry. You define as a deviant character. You stay alive by interacting with the people who you are connected to.
Yeah,
and those connections can be positive or negative. So the metagame of Deviant is that you, whereas in Vampire you have the people who you are, the people who are still tying you to humanity, who are your touchstones. In Deviant, your touchstones are your shit list.
Okay, yeah.
So there's
excellent. Yeah. No, I hope White Wolf do the approval or whatever, and they like it, and we just got to watch this. See what happens. I mean, can't really say anything else than that. I mean, like I say, World of Darkness Berlin, learned stuff. Can't say jack. It's I know the feeling now. I know the feeling. Well, no, I knew the feeling working for Fate on Noble Armada. It's like I really want to say what we're doing in my game, and I can't.
Yeah.
Cool. I don't think there's much more to talk about. What's been your highlight so far walking around UK Games Expo?
Walking around it. I've played a couple of games. There's a really awesome AR augmented reality board game by a bunch of Italian guys, where it's a co-op board game where you play the crew of a submarine, and it's an app-driven one.
Okay. It's called U-Boat, isn't it?
There's and the app shows what you can see out of your U-boat's periscope.
Okay.
And the person playing the captain issues their orders. The person playing the navigator then inputs them. And they might not input them properly. And,
so it's a board game kind of version of Starship Simulator.
Yeah, and the app then actually runs all the game mechanics and tells you what you can detect and such, and you'll probably die.
Shit.
And that looked really awesome. They're going to be kickstarting it in October or something, and I think my gaming group are quite interested in it. I thought I was out for years, but I actually like what I'm hearing about 40k.
Yeah, let's be honest, they are some sexy models. They're freaking huge, those new Marines. The Plague Marines are also quite a lot bigger.
It's more the rules for me, because I'm an old school Tyranid player.
Yeah, I started out in 2nd edition with Tyranids.
I may or may not have once spent my entire paycheck from a White Wolf book on a Tyranid Biotitan.
Wow. Okay.
Several years ago, but
nice.
But yeah, so they're always good.
Yeah, because they're bringing about saving throw modifiers. They haven't brought back to hit modifiers.
Variable move rates.
Yes, I think that's the big one. I mean, I've been enjoying playing some Shadow War, so with Genes to the Cult, so that's hilarious. Where you go, I'm going to bring my Genestealer to the fight, and everyone just cries, and then someone brings the Terminator to the fight, and then I cry, because it's like, I've got auto guns, what am I going to do against him?
I always hit up Hawk War Games stand, because I'm a big Drop Fleet, Drop Zone player. Other than that, I'm just wandering around seeing role-playing games. I was interested to see Cubicle 7 have got the license for Wolfram.
Yes, I need to go talk to them about this.
They're right at the back of the hall.
What, in the other corner?
Yeah.
Okay, right, now I know where they are. And what was the other thing? I quickly said hi to Mike Mason from KSM. Seems like people are now more aware of, well, given that we deal with horror stuff, like, hopefully we can talk about some other games in the idea that they can inspire you for your Chronicles of Darkness, because, I mean, Cthulhu's always a good fit for weirdness somewhere, whether it's an abyssal intrusion or it's the God Machine doing something stupid. Cool. I think that's about it. So, thank you for chatting in a very casual way about
very
stuff.
Casual.
Hopefully we can.
Sofa in the corner of a vast gaming hall.
Well, hopefully we can follow this up when something gets okayed and the wheels can turn and the rumor mill can become more of a this is what the Kickstarter will hopefully be and things like that.
I don't know what I've suggested some Kickstarter stretch goals. But who knows what will happen between here and now?
Yeah.
Because I've never. This will be the first game that I've developed that will be kickstarted. So I'm just trusting Rich to do it.
Yes. He has plenty of experience now.
I'm like the dog in the meme. But I have no idea what I'm doing.
And on that note, I think that's a good end to the to this thing. So, thank you for listening, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.